and welcome to the weekend edition of the Nightly News. Ted, what a great week we've had. But you said something earlier this week on the topic of Ken Paxton, how you rallied a bunch of your friends down in Texas. I, too, use my social media to enlighten some of my Texas friends. There is power in numbers, and that's why you and I founded Hunter Nation. We knew that if we could get hunters to galvanize under one flag, and it's probably not going to be the pride flag, that we could influence local, national, state elections and policy making. And we are having that exact positive impact in the state of Kansas. Give you just a little bit of a background and then let you just go wherever you want to go on this weekend. But in Kansas, our unelected Parks and Wildlife Board decided that they were going to ban supplemental deer feeding. And they talked about it being in terms of CWD, which we debunked that with Dr. Deer, James Kroll. They talked about the ethics of baiting deer, and they had a lot of nonsense. But we, Hunter Nation, sent out an informational card to 34,000 licensed Kansas deer hunters, and they responded in such force that at the very next Parks and Wildlife Board, one of the members took his phone up and said, "You guys have blown my phone up." Of course, we gave their numbers. They didn't like it, and said that we are not going to bring this topic to a vote. Point being is that hunters, if they would just get off their tree stands and get out of the duck marshes and pheasant fields, that we can have an important impact. And if we can just get them, Ted, to go vote, the outcome would be unbelievable.
Well, number one, this is a sacred experiment in self-government. And here's my hunting season right here. Here's Sadie. She can't wait to bring Daddy a dove. So this is a very special time of year, and the hunting families of this country are very special people. We're still connected to God's miraculous, renewable creation as conscientious, reasoning predators. Hunting, fishing, and trapping is the perfect environmentalism to manage and optimize wildlife carrying capacity habitat, which is the producer of quality air, soil, and water. So we started Hunter Nation because we were aghast, heartbroken, pissed off that we saw the statistics that so many hunters don't vote, but they complain, but they don't vote. If the hunters of this country would all unite and we could get a meaningful percentage, I would love 100%, but I'll take 75. If we would get the hunting families to vote their conscience, which I know is God, family, country, private property rights, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, law and order, all the radical stuff, that we could take back this country. But let me comment on the supplemental feeding. In every state, even where it's against the law to supplemental feed, every sporting goods store and every farm and fleet and every feed mill that has mountains of supplemental feed, they sell them because the vast majority of people want to optimize the encounter with wildlife so we can harvest a reasonable and responsible surplus. I supplemental feed. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to have the most fun outdoors, I'm going to promote some supplemental feed. This is Big and J, made right there in Nebraska. Big and J feed. Here is some mad scientists in Texas that create this red chain deer feed. It's a bunch of mad scientists. This is full of minerals and nutrients and vitamins and essential oils that make the wildlife healthier. There's a mom and pop outfit in Wisconsin called Whitetail Products Gone Wild. These people put together these nutritional supplements. We'd like to put all those on the screen. I think it's redchainfeeds.com, probably bigandj.com, and whitetailproductsgonewild.com. We'll put them on the screen. If you want to cleanse your soul, you need to have a higher level of awareness, make sure that your habitat is an optimum productivity so that the songbirds and the waterfowl and the small game and the big game and the non-game and the deer and the turkeys and the coyotes and the bobcats and the fox and the eagles. We have eagles on the lake right now here in Michigan. We supplemental feed every day. The food plot industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And let me finalize it with those naysayers that go, well, that's cheating if you put out bait. Rattling horns to get a buck to show up is audible bait. It's an attractant. You're attracting deer to get a better shot, a more ethical shot, by using an audible attractant. Buck lure, artificial scrapes, and augmenting scrapes. We have a signal11lures.com. We'll put that on the screen. Signal11lures.com. I hope that's right. Where we put in mock scrapes to cause bucks to come close. That is an olfactory bait. You're baiting the deer closer with a scent. It's all about maneuvering to kill an adequate and responsible surplus every year to make room during the winter for the next year's productivity. So anybody that's against bait is a numbnut. I'm not saying if you choose not to bait, you're a numbnut. You have that choice. But to interfere with the majority of hunters that use audio bait, olfactory bait, food plot, they actually put them in a shape like an hourglass, so that the deer, as they're in the food plot, they get a little closer to the tree stand. That's an attractant. According to Webster's dictionary, anything you do to bring that game closer for a good shot qualifies as bait. Supplemental feed is good for wildlife. Those agencies that are against it are bad for wildlife. And if any of them would like to debate me, I welcome you to the Nightly Nuge and bring it on, because CWD has always existed. It's in the soil, and by not allowing me to relocate apples closer to my daughter's tree stand is not going to have any effect whatsoever on nose-to-nose contact with wildlife. The game departments are infested with liars, and I hope those that are guilty are squirming right now, and I dare you to debate me live on the Nightly Nuge or my Real America's Voice. Keith, we're filming Ted Nugent's Spirit of the Wild every day. It's on the Pursuit channel, and we are down-to-earth, grounded, real conservationists where we harvest game to feed ourselves, soup kitchens and homeless shelters, Hunters for the Hungry program, the Sportsmen Against Hunger. This venison is sacred protein, and those that are against optimizing the harvest are against feeding their fellow Americans. Shame on you. I hope everybody has the greatest hunting season of your life. Go to redchainfeeds.com, Big and J, whitetailproductsgonewild.com, and get that supplemental feed that will enhance the encounters, which enhances the spirit of the wild and the happiness on the conservation community.
You know what, Ted? You raised a lot of great points there. Probably, the most important to me is that what hunters can do if they unite and have a positive impact on policy. I'd like to do a little experiment here at the Nightly Nuge. There is a governor's race going on down in the great state of Louisiana.
Yes.
And it doesn't take a rocket scientist. Now I'm going to put on my Hunter Nation hat, which means Ted Nugent and Keith Mark can't tell you who the best candidate is in the race. All you have to do is do your own homework and vote your values. But let's do this experiment, Ted. I would like our listeners, if you live in the state of Louisiana, to go to huntthevote.org. That's the sister organization to Hunter Nation. If you're in Louisiana, really any other state, but we really want to see if we can get some activity going on down in Louisiana, huntthevote.org. And then we want you to promise that you're going to go out and vote in this primary, because there are two very contrasting candidates that are on the ballot there. You can look them up. One of them is Greg Landry, the current Attorney General, who I happen to...
Jeff Landry.
Yeah, one of them is the current Attorney General, Jeff Landry, and the other one's name escapes me, but you can look them up too. Ted, final word on the matter.
Well, bottom line is, we the people owe the warriors of the military to use the freedoms they sacrifice for. This is the United States of America, that the quality of life is unprecedented in the history of the human experience, and it's all based on the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Ten Commandments, the Golden Rule, the Declaration of Independence. And if you don't fight for that, which ultimately manifests itself in a vote, if you don't vote those values, then maybe that flag-draped coffin was for nothing. And I can't let that stand. So yes, please go to huntthevote.org. we'll put it on the screen, and hunternation.org. And I'm going to start putting those websites on my Real America's Voice. I do it every Friday night on realamericasvoice.com, I guess. But Shemaine and I, we're activists. We participate. In the state of Texas, we shut down the jackbooted punks, the dishonest anti-hunting punks on the Texas Parks and Wildlife, and we think we've got them on the run because they were going to slaughter deer herds and they were going to kill perfectly healthy deer and bury them in the ground, which is against the law. In Texas, the bureaucrats are trying to break the law in Texas. So in Texas, we have Pat Curry that's going to run for 56th district in McLennan County. Pat Curry, please check that man out. This guy is a warrior. This guy is an entrepreneur. This guy is a hardcore absolute conservative. Pat Curry for state rep, McLennan County, District 56 in Texas. We need to identify those who are constitutionalists, and we need to get America back to the Constitution. We have abandoned the Constitution, and it manifests itself in the evil of drag queen events that abuse children with government authority. Think about it. Everybody have a great weekend. Celebrate the mystical flight of the arrow and the backstrap boogie. Watch Ted Nugent's Spirit of the Wild on the Pursuit Network 8 times a week. Tell everybody you know there's a nightly Nuge, and truth, logic, and common sense is good for you. And to fight back against the anti-freedom monsters at Facebook, go to tednugent.com and buy some killer gifts for your family. Also, I'm going to promote our great hero, Mike Lindell. Go to mypillow.com. We'll put it on the screen, mypillow.com. Type in the code SPIRIT and send a gift made in America that will cause much consternation in the America-hating left. It's our job. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Timothy. Thank you, everybody at the Nightly Nuge. I will be doing the breaststroke in backstraps and gut piles this weekend, and I hope everybody has the greatest hunting season of their lives, and I'll see you again next Monday on the Nightly Nuge.
On the topic of consternation, Ted, next week we're going to talk about the border. Wow. See you next week, buddy.
Godspeed, real America.